Casper Dennis here from Submission Radio. We're standing here with the man, the one and only, the Count, Michael Bisping. Michael, welcome back to the country. It's great to have you. Just the generic Australia question. Obviously, the missus is from Australia. How good is it to come back and fight on our country?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very, very happy to be here. When I first heard that there was another event in Sydney, I really wanted to be on this card. I asked the UFC, I asked them to fight Rockhold. It looked like they were going to do Machida, and fortunately they did a U-turn, and here I am. Very happy to be here and looking forward to putting on another great event.
Absolutely. Now, Michael, you had such an impressive win against Cung Le. Obviously, it's been a little bit of time since that fight. Are you happy to jump straight back into that octagon so quickly and, you know, kind of capitalize on the momentum that you have right now?
Yeah, absolutely. See, the thing is, you know, obviously fighting at middleweight, you know, when you're training for a fight, you got to lose a lot of weight, you know, and that's one of the biggest stresses. Right now, my weight's down, my weight's good. So for this training camp, you know, everything I just worked on for Cung Le crosses over. You know, Cung Le was a southpaw. He's a kickboxer primarily. Rockhold is a southpaw. He's a kickboxer primarily. So, you know, everything I worked on technically, that crosses over. My weight's good. I'm in great condition. So I'm just going to be an even better, more improved version of myself than what I was for the Cung Le fight. So Rockhold's in a lot of trouble. He's underestimating me. I'm not underestimating him. I know he's a tough opponent. I know he's a tough fight. He's got legit skills. He's got good power. He's great on the ground. He's got decent wrestling, and he comes from a good camp. That spells a tough fight, you know. He alternatively thinks he's going to walk right through me, and the guy is delusional. He's crazy, you know. And on top of that, he doesn't like me. You know, we can clearly see he doesn't like me. I get under his.
We could not like you.
I know, right?
Charismatic guy.
I get under his skin big time, and I tell you what, I get such a kick out of it because I just know his blood is boiling, and I love it. You must have seen me. I was sat there grinning from ear to ear like a Cheshire cat the whole time because he's so pissed off. He's not smiling. I'm loving this. It's great. I can't wait. And of course, the icing on the cake is that I get to punch him in the face when it's all done.
There's a saying in pro wrestling and, of course, video games, it's a lot more fun to be the bad guy. Now, you've sort of assumed that role in the last few years. I mean, obviously, you know, you're a great guy, talented guy, but at the same time, you get under people's skin.
Yep.
Does part of you enjoy that? Do you enjoy stirring the pot a little bit?
You know, unfortunately, I've always had too much to say, you know, and that often gets me in trouble. And this goes back to the thing with Luke Rockhold. Again, too much to say. Somebody asked me about a sparring session we had, and I made a joke. You know, maybe if I wasn't the type of guy that made jokes and things like that, none of this bad blood would have materialized. To answer your question, yeah, of course it's more fun. Listen, you know, I'm not out there trying to win a popularity contest. I'm just being myself. I think for the most part, you know, people get it, and everyone's cool. Yeah, I get booed, you know, you know, from time to time here and there, but you know, I'm all right. I'm happy. My family's happy. I got plenty of friends. I'm not the biggest asshole you ever met, so yeah. And of course, it's more fun to be able to sit here and say what's on your mind, as opposed to being one of those guys that's, you know, just trying to say the right thing. You know, I ain't John Jones. You know what I mean? What you see is what you get. No offense, John Jones, he's a nice guy, but people kind of say he's fake and this and that. I've always found John to be a very nice guy, but with me, certainly you can't accuse me of that. I certainly say what's on my mind, unfortunately.
No, it's very entertaining. Now, Luke has made this bet where he says he'll knock you out in the first round. I'm just wondering, the fight between you and him November 8th in Sydney, guys, you got to make sure you grab your tickets. How do you see that fight playing out? How do you see yourself beating Luke Rockhold in that one?
Listen, I'm going to beat him to the punch all night long. I'm going to beat him to the punch and the kick. I'm way faster than him. I can take him down. I know I can. He's got skills. He's got legit skills, but you know, he's not as fast as me. And speed kills. You know, he keeps talking about knockout power out there in my face. He was saying, "Who's the last guy you knocked out?" I said, "What do you mean? You were sat there ringside 2 weeks ago when I knocked out your best friend and bum chum, Cung Le. I knocked him flying. I kneed him in the face, and the guy, you know, he looked like he was trying out for the Olympic gymnastic team. He did a backflip through the air. And then I said, who have you knocked out in one round? You know, because I tell you what, if you look at my record, the first 10 fights of my career were all first round knockouts. So trust me, I've got the power. And I said, come on, give me a name. And he said, Costas Philippou. I said, that wasn't a knockout. You kicked him in the stomach and you winded him. Fair play, nice kick, but it wasn't a knockout. I said, give me a name, and he couldn't do it. So he needs to think his insults through. If he's going to ask me to name somebody, he should have one in the bank. You know what I mean? Just for when I come back at him, he needs to think about that. What was the question?
The question was, how do you see a fight between you and him playing out? How do you see it playing out? You mentioned you beat him to the punch, but is there a scenario in your head that stands out?
I think he's going to try and take me down. He comes from a team that has lots of good wrestlers, obviously Daniel Cormier, Cain Velasquez, people like that. You know, he's got lots of good training partners, and he's got good jiu-jitsu. He really has got, you know, a decent game on the ground. So I think, you know, for all his talk and this and that, he's going to try and take me down and try and explore a weakness that I've got on the floor, because I get tapped out all the time. Never been tapped out in my life, just throw that out there. You know, it's one of those fights. He's going to play out on the feet. I'm sure it is.
Triangles in this one.
Yeah, he can't. He couldn't do anything. He can't reverse triangle. He couldn't reverse a car, let alone reverse a triangle on me. You know. Yeah, listen. I'm going to fight Luke Rockhold November the 8th. I'm going to tuck him into bed and say good night, and then that's it. See you later, mate. On to the next one.
Michael, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for chatting with us.
My pleasure. November 8th. Do not miss it.